Hello and welcome along to another live episode of the Tackling Sport podcast. For those joining us on Facebook, YouTube or Twitter, it's Daniel Hussey here, joined alongside me as always by my brother Sean.
How's it going?
Not too bad, Sean, and we've got to continue our Euro 2020 predictions to predict the first four Last-16 games. Delighted to welcome firstly Mike Herlihy. Mike, welcome to the podcast.
Good evening, lads. Pleasure to be here.
Thanks, Mike. And then making his long-awaited Tackling Sport debut, Tim. I know you want to do it a while. Tim Stokes, also in the bottom right-hand corner. Tim, welcome.
Yes. Great to be here, lads. I have to say, I did think there was something wrong with my phone because I've been waiting for the last year now for an invite to the show. But I'm playing the Donny van de Beek role, and I've sat patiently, come out of injury a little bit, and I'm delighted to get going. And I have a few guests with me tonight anyway for good luck. Got an 03 Ruud van Nistelrooy. We've got a blonde Rio Ferdinand wearing the number 6, so summer 2002. And my all-time favourite beside the bed, Roy Keane, Captain Fantastic.
What do you think of Roy as a pundit then, Tim? I presume you're all over him.
Oh, I love him. Yeah. You couldn't not. Like, it's a dying breed that you get a pundit now that'll speak his mind, say it as it is, and it's been entertaining. I like what the BBC are doing. The Jermaine Genius, he would put you to sleep though. It's the only concern. He lovely pundit, and then you've got Alan Shearer as well and Ian Wright, and it's boring. Yes, good, very good. England are good. They're not bad. I like a bit of Roy Keane, someone to spice it up a little bit. And him and Mika Richards have a great little thing going on as well, which is great.
Yeah, those car bills are hilarious.
Yeah. To be a fly in that car now would be gas.
like we were, Mike. You're obviously a Chelsea fan to introduce viewers. For full disclosure.
Yeah. No, I'm a Chelsea fan. Yeah, it was a great end to the season. God, it looked like it was really going to be like the season could very easily have been derailed. We lost the FA Cup final against Leicester, and then the last few league games we did our best to not finish in top 4. But then, that performance against City in the final was excellent.
Yeah, magic out of nowhere. Sean, all set for Euro. Moving on to the Last-16, Sean, in terms of your kind of hype for the tournament. I guess any kind of takes there. I know we spoke a lot about England before, which we'll get on to because I know the lads want to talk about England before we move on to the first 4 games.
Yeah, I think that side of the draw that Germany and England are in, I think the winners of that game and that particular Last-16 game will really fancy their chances of going all the way to the final. Because they know if France or Belgium or Portugal get to a final, they're going to have to do it the hard way, and they're probably going to, suffer along the way. So my thing at the moment is if France do end up winning this Euros, I think it'll be one of the biggest achievements in international football, and it's probably close to what Spain did. I know Spain won 3 trophies in a row, but to win the World Cup and to win the Euros, I think after having the draw that they could potentially have, I think would be staggering. So that's something to look out for. But certainly on the England and Germany end of the draw, you'd really be fancying your chances. Another handy route to a final, and it would be smooth sailing for either team if they win, because they keep that momentum of playing at Wembley for a few games as well. So I do like when the tournament opens up and you can kind of look at it as a photo and see who's playing who, and there's a bit more consequences to the games, because some of the games maybe have felt like you're shuffling for position, like in a golf tournament, and it's really coming to the 3rd and 4th rounds now, and it's starting to get good. And I think we're going to see the cream rise to the top. I mean, you even saw it in that Poland game, Lewandowski taking his 2 goals, and just things like that. Benzema getting a couple, Ronaldo getting a couple. I think it is definitely heating up.
What do you lads think about the format of the Euros, like the top 3? Like, I personally found the group stages a little bit kind of, all right, come on, let's get going. Like, you know what I mean? Like, in the past, it was kind of like, say, that Portugal-France game, it's a great match or whatever, but the excitement's lost a lot when neither team's going home. Do you know what I mean? Like, in an ordinarily, that would have been Portugal going out in goal difference. So what's your lads' takes on that?
Yeah, to be honest, I thought the games really lacked intensity. Really, like the last round of games, there was very few that really had much at stake, if anything. I think it's really kind of just, I don't know, the group stage is just really not meant as much. The group of death, I know, didn't even really turn into anything because the 3 teams, like Germany and Portugal, didn't really play well, and they still went through. I just think But I suppose that's just what it's going to be going forward. But
then again, I suppose we can't complain, seeing as like it brought us a great night 5 years ago now. I usually say 4, like with the Robbie Brady, like we wouldn't have got through. But then again, Italy were already wrapped up and whatever. So it's kind of like it's hit and miss. Like
if Ireland are in the tournament, I'm sure I would be feeling very differently about it. So
I don't know if I still don't think we get top 3 now. But look, it's beggars can't be choosers. I suppose to be here to stay. But yeah, just be interested to see what you lads thought on it. Like the Hussey brothers, the format at the top 3.
Yeah, Sean. I know I was completely against it, but I know, like, I guess a lot more of the groups get the final game. There is something small at stake, but you know what I mean, because your third place still qualifies you. But it ends up being a bit of a farce, particularly those first games when you're just trying not to concede. And the problem we're going to have now is it's here to stay, and that's it. And I don't think they can go any higher than 24. But like the fact we can't even qualify for it as well says it all.
This will bring us to a John Delaney. Can we be the 2015? I'm waiting for that now.
Yeah, Sean, quick word on the format.
Yeah, like I kind of mull over whether it's good or bad. One thing I would say is it does kind of open up an avenue for a smaller team to maybe go far in the competition. You know, we've even seen it with a few of the draws. A couple of sides you wouldn't be too against. I think it's Sweden and Ukraine, is it? Or there's a couple of very makeable draws to make a real push to the semis and finals. And ultimately, I think you kind of want that. You kind of want an Iceland story of 5 years ago as well. So I do agree that the group stages, but I think really the group stages can always be a little bit boring anyway, because you always know that there is the final piece to come. But I think with the way it is with 6 teams of 4, I think it's definitely the best situation for now. And I do think the more nations, the better. Certainly for the Euros, I think 16 is a little bit too small, and 24 does give you that. I mean, the North Macedonia story, or Finland winning a game. So I definitely think there's a.
I tell you, in Euro 2012, it certainly felt a bit small. The 16 man format, like the Sean St. Ledger goal being the only highlight of that and Paul Green being the only player without a club to feature in the European Championships. I couldn't pick too many other positives. So yeah, I suppose it would be welcomed anyway going forward, but have to wait.
It's with, like, look at the Champions League group stage. It's kind of been introduced to stop those dead rubber games. The last one of the competition, I guess. You lads wanted to talk about England, and well, we want to talk about England as well. So the 4 games we're talking about today don't include England. So get all your England hot takes out of the way. Tim, I know you've a lot of.
I say we should go to Mike first, seeing as he's an English-born man. Am I right in saying?
I was English-born. Yeah, a brief resident for about 18 months, and then returned to my homeland. I suppose first take is I fancy England to beat Germany. I put any performance out of 3 games where you're like, oh, like they look good. They really struggled against Scotland. The Czech Republic game, like the Czechs just seemed happy to keep it at 1-0, and England didn't really do anything, and we'd be like, they look like a strong team. Like Germany, on the other hand, they look decent. Like they were in a very tough group, and I think their players are just in much better form. Like Cruz, Havertz, Matt Hummels at the back. Like I think I just think that'd be a bit too good. Although I think, I'll save my prediction for later, but it'll be tight.
Okay. Yeah, I would say I think England will win. Now, I wouldn't take that too seriously based on my betting history in Euro 2020 has been extremely poor. I saw all the Paddy Power staff up in Bakers out there on the weekend, so I'd say they're getting a little pay rise from me now since the start of the tournament. But I do have a little feeling on England, like there's no weaknesses in the team. They've got an embarrassment of talent, as I call it, and like they're playing at home. I personally wouldn't be a big fan, and I suppose this could be another debate. Should an Irishman be up for England? Spoken to a few friends, as I call them, that are quietly up for England, but like, how can you look at Declan Rice, Jack Grealish? I'll go back, mainly Declan Rice singing out, God Save the Queen. 5 or 6 years after Chucky Arla and all that kind of crack. So I be very against England personally. I think Harry Kane looks very tired, but like when they click, they will click. And even Southgate, even as bad of a manager as he is and as negative as he's playing, I think the talent is too good in every department, like even the right backs, left backs, all across the board. So look, last word on Declan Rice, he shouldn't be playing.
Yeah, Sean, do you want to come in on that? Maybe that England point, because like obviously you were actually born in Ireland, Sean, but I was born in England, but I wouldn't say I have any affinity thing, to be honest with you. And as we were talking before we came on air, as an Arsenal fan, love to see Bukayo Saka maybe score 2 in a 3-2 defeat, or maybe scores penalty in a penalty shootout defeat.
But I think the thing is, like, a few of those players you kind of like, but even like some of the stuff that they go on about Euro '96 and things like that, as if they won it.
I know.
So I do think I don't think
a haircut. Yeah.
I don't think I'd like to be reading and listening to Sky Sports and you be watching the game in the Champions League or the Premier League next year, and someone mentions the Phil Foden, the European Championship winner and all this thing. But I would say is I think they got a great chance. I think they really do. And I'd say in 2 or 3 tournaments they'll have won something by now, because you just look at the talent coming through and the money that's in the English game and the academy systems. How the likes of Jadon Sancho have slipped the net in terms and getting scouted abroad, and you just see how much quality they have in some of these young players coming through, like Bukayo Saka, Phil Foden, Mason Greenwood, who's not even in the squad. So I do think that they'll eventually get over the line. Whether it's with Gareth Southgate, it remains to be seen. But there's absolutely no excuses for them. I'd make them favourites against Germany.
Yeah.
And as soon as they beat Germany, if they do, they've a really good route to the final. And like I said, if a France or a Belgium get to the final, they're going to have a way sterner test to get there. And it does feel like it's opened up. And it's kind of opened up after a lot of things early in the tournament going against them. There was all this booing of the taking the knee. There was a couple of injuries. We still haven't seen their best side, but I do think against the Czech Republic in that second half, we saw a lot more of what Gareth Southgate wants in his England side. And I would be very cagey about their chances going forward, because I think with the draw they have, there's no excuses for them not to be in the final in Wembley in, what is it, a couple of weeks' time?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. No excuses at all. Look, like the kind of the media don't help them, like they really don't. And like that, I will be cancelling my Sky Sports subscription if they do win. And I certainly won't be buying any of my red top newspapers for a month or 2 at least. But like, you're never going to hear the end of it. You're never ever going to hear the end of it, and that's something I can't take. I can see it now, but back page of the Sun or whatever it is, Declan Rice and Jack Grealish like this together with the Euros, like, it's just no.
Declan Rice played 3 times for Ireland. It's mad, isn't it?
He did, and he was on the bench for a competitive game.
And they didn't bring him on. Like, how they didn't bring him on that night, beggars belief.
Now there was conspiracy there, and like, I know I wouldn't take this as gospel, but a few lads I've kind of met have said that maybe he asked not to be brought on that night. Look, we'll never know, but what's your thoughts on that?
Well, look, the thing is,
pub talk.
He is English as well. Like, if he wants to play for England, then sure. Like, you don't really want him playing for Ireland. Like, that was at the end of the day. Like, maybe it was our fault that maybe we invested so much time when, for a while, maybe it looked like that he really was just going to go to England. Like, I don't really hold the same act of hatred maybe you would towards him over it. Like, I wouldn't like him, but I definitely wouldn't feel as strongly.
You wouldn't begrudge. Okay. Yeah, no, just England in general. Like you say, I do obviously like a lot of the players. I support an English club, but you'll never hear the end of it from the media, and you'll get all the Gaza haircuts going around the place. Like, you have your Gary Nevilles coming on. It'll be plastered on M&F next year. That Euros of 2021 was special. Like, I can already hear it now, and yeah, that's what I'm afraid of.
I hadn't thought of the M&F style. Like, Gary is going to be so unbearable, isn't he?
And Carragher.
Yeah.
Who's very the impression on that.
Jamie Redknapp.
I know. I I think he's too vain to get the Gaza kind of haircut myself, but he still will have a lot to say in it.
And Tim, if you were picking the team, would Jack Grealish start? Would Phil Foden start? What would be your front four?
Yeah, I wouldn't be so defensive as Southgate has been. Like, Calvin Phillips is obviously a great player. He's had a brilliant season, but and he was brilliant against Croatia. But I don't see the need to have, as I call them, the two statues that, in midfield. You got a line of four, the statues, and then the forward player. But I would have Mason Mount. Mike, you'll like me saying that. I definitely have him there, and I'd have Grealish on the other side. I agree with James Mouatt there. Saka won't start. And I'd have Declan Rice maybe sitting behind. Unfortunately, going to have to drop Rashford. So I'd go with Harry Kane, who's having a mare. James Mouatt won't like that one either, but he's been absolutely awful. Again, Muggins here had him as a top goal scorer. But I would still start him. And you'd have to probably start Sterling as well, as much as he wouldn't be one of my favourite players either. He's got their only 2 goals, so but I would like to see Jadon Sancho a bit more, considering the £73 million price tag. I'm kind of saying, well, for what? But yeah, that would be mine. I'd have Mount, Grealish, and the 2 lads, Kane and Sterling.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I can't understand why Sancho hasn't got more game time. Like, even in the last game there where they brought on Jude Bellingham, but I don't know, maybe it was like half an hour, 35 minutes ago, and then brought Sancho on for the last, I think it was 9 minutes. And I can't understand why. Like, I think he had goals and assists. He had over 20 this season for Dortmund. So I don't see why, especially because seeing as, not a whole lot has worked for him so far.
Yeah, Sean, who's your front four then? The lads are kind of looking at that. Grealish, Mount, Sterling, Kane. I know. Personally would start Saka as an Arsenal fan. I'm a very biased Arsenal fan. I thought he's been man of match in 3 out of his 5 caps, but I can't see Southgate starting him.
Oh, I can after his performance the other night. I think Southgate's kind of like that, and even judging by what he said, so I think he will. I think he will start. I think it'll be a similar front four. If Mount is available, which obviously we probably won't know for another couple of days, I think Mount does start, and maybe he drops Grealish, which I personally wouldn't. I'd probably have Grealish there. You'd have Mount. You definitely have of either Saka or Foden. Really, I still think they're kind of missing someone. Ideally, Rashford would have had a better end to the season and wouldn't have been flogged as much as he has by United this year. But I don't think we'll see a huge amount of changes for England. You got to remember, you got to have lads come off the bench. I think, if England are struggling in the game, maybe 1-0 down or 0-all, and you bring on Grealish, and it just gives not only the fans a lift, but the players as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Grealish not start, because I think without the ball, I'm not sure how much Southgate trusts him. And I think he'd probably trust Saka more at the moment without the ball. But it's a big decision to make, considering Saka's only 19. So there's a unbelievable range of options for Southgate. And like I said, there is no excuses. I've seen a lot of people now, if you look at their route to the final potential route, it does look as handy as you can get. You're missing all the form teams really as well. So there's a lot to be said for England going forward.
Yeah, so listen, that's all for England, lads, but there are other teams in the competition. So like I said, we've got 4 games we're going to preview tonight. So for those that don't refuse to watch RTE, BBC will have the Wales, Denmark and Italy, Austria game on Saturday, and then ITV have the Netherlands, Czech Republic and Belgium, Portugal, which I know a lot of us can't actually get, so we stuck with RTE on that one. Actually, lads, a quick word on the coverage. What have you made of it in terms of RTE? Any kind of hot takes on this before we get into it?
What I've certainly picked up on is Damien Duff's use of just every single sentence seems to be flogging a dead horse. The words escape me here, but the amount of kind of cliches that he's coming out with, he's brutal for them. Even so, what you make of that, Damien? Yeah, it's a game of 2 halves, really. They were kind of, one half better than the other. You're waiting for the punchline here, and some of the commentary. I actually turned on the Germany game yesterday, and I thought your man on his own, he was really struggling. I can't think of it.
I thought it was terrible.
Yeah,
it was awful. And it was on RT News as well.
That was it. Yeah, 5-2-1. Anyone on Sky? Because I had a nightmare trying to find it.
On standard definition, and it was just the one commentator. I actually couldn't believe that. It was.
I know. Yeah,
and even on the listing, it just had RT News. Do you know what I mean? Like the actual show to be shown was RT News.
And there was one. There was one co-commentator. Can't remember the name now. But she was just describing the event that had happened. So Szczesny made a save, got down well there to his right hand side and saved it. Like just repeating what everyone had seen. Like there wasn't much kind of in-depth analysis, I suppose, which is what we were kind of keeping an eye out for, an ear out for. But sure, look, be flicking to the BBC for the big games, and unfortunately, once they get Kenny Cunningham back for the big games.
I saw they added Kenny Cunningham to the co-commentary list. Sean, I don't know about you, but I've been looking at ITV's clips a lot on YouTube, which are available.
I watched the Italy or the England analysis at halftime on my phone on ITV just to hear what Roy was saying to Gary Neville on Ian Wright. Look, I think with RT, I think it's, especially for the commentators, I think it's very hard for them because they're not at the games. I'm not sure if anyone saw the clip of Clive Tilsley in the Dutch game the other day, thinking the Dutch were on another attack. As he was watching the replay, he was watching what we're seeing. So it's a weird tournament for a lot of things.
That only reminds me, actually, I think it was Jimmy McGee a few years ago when he was calling Suarez Sanchez for I think it was 75 minutes, and eventually someone obviously got in his ear and told him. But no, that was, you have to love RT for moments like that, don't you? Like,
sure. Ronnie Whelan was calling Scotland Celtic for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that, and there was something else. I can't remember. Jeez.
Was Ronnie Whelan giving out, actually? Ronnie Whelan was giving out about Denmark. They are clapping during the 10 minutes. I was actually not.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
You do miss your Johnny Giles, though. The names really escape him a lot. The big lad at the back there, the bald fella. Like, you have to. It's so bad, it's good. And obviously, Eamon Dunphy is a massive loss as well. You just can't replace some of these characters, can you?
We didn't know what we had with
no, we didn't. Three lads,
with the panel and Bill.
You feel sorry for Liam, out of his,
like someone's taken the energy out of him. He's not with his mates anymore. And
I know,
They've Didi Haman as well, which Didi's all right, but it's not the same without Dunphy. Dunphy asked him a question about German football or something. So.
Oh God! I know this is rich coming from me, but he doesn't shut up. It really drags on.
Johnny Giles is still on Newstalk off the ball. I was listening to him in the car on the way home, and he was comparing this Euros to the 1966 World Cup and the 1984 World Cup or 82 World Cup. Do you know what I mean? It's just that's how he's
this thing. He seems to just slip back into the mid 60s. Within 30 seconds of being asked a question. Well, now at Leeds we had Brenner and myself, and it's just Anyway, you have to love him.
Yeah, listen, brilliant stuff. So, lads, first game is Wales versus Denmark, and we'll stick with you, Tim, first, because as the BBC man here, it's going to be 5 o'clock on Saturday. The main game. What's your kind of plan around the game? Are you building your weekend around it firstly, and then how do you kind of see it going?
Yeah, well, to start off on, it's very hard to get a booking these days now. I'm not sure if it's that or my friends are turning very, very old all of a sudden, but nothing planned for the day itself yet. The strategy going into tonight's predictions were. Obviously, I mentioned I haven't had a great Euro 2020 on the betting front, so anything that I would have done have gone reverse, if that makes sense. So hopefully, by that kind of process, something will stick. How do I see the game going? I think Wales, they're a good side. They've got very experienced players, but there is a big gulf in class between your Ramseys and your Gareth Bales, and then you just you feel there's mistakes there, particularly at the back, just lack of experience and the quality. For a country that size, you would expect it. Now, on the Denmark side, obviously with the Eriksson situation, they've it's been a very different tournament for them. But I can see Denmark really being up for it. I think a bit of time has gone by since the Eriksson, the initial kind of shock, and obviously thank God he's recovered very well, which is great. So I think now Denmark will be in a real kind of state of mind. They won it in '92. I know that means nothing, but they have experience in winning it. I actually am going into Giles mode. Yeah, I must send the CV into RTE. But I think I could see Denmark just nicking it. I just think they're going to have a little bit too much. Brings back nightmares about obviously for ourselves when Denmark have beaten us twice in World Cup qualification and Euros, so they can certainly hold the lead. So I'm going to go 1-0 for Denmark for this one. I just think they'll do enough.
Yeah, 1-0 Denmark, Mike. It's a relatively safe prediction for Tim. Like I look at these two teams. Yeah,
there's more to come. Don't worry. To be
I would agree with a lot of what Tim said, although I wouldn't be as conservative.
That's the first.
I don't think Wales will be up to it at all against Denmark. I know the first game you can kind of throw out in terms of how it went. I know Finland won, but not really one you can kind of take too much from. But then I thought their game back from that against Belgium, I thought they were absolutely brilliant. And they really rattled the Belgians. And almost and it took two very, very good Belgian goals to beat them. And on the Wales side, as Tim said, they're just an average team, and even Bale and Ramsey aren't two players that you can 100% rely on are going to put in world class performances every game. I just think it's going to take too much from the two of them to carry them over the line. And I think my prediction will be Denmark 3, Wales 1.
Yeah, Sean, are you kind of leaning towards a confident Denmark? I was thinking, look at these two teams. The only team that has a chance to win the Euros is Denmark. But in one-off game, I really think Wales can put it up to them.
Yeah, absolutely. In a one-off game, Wales will really fancy their chances. Obviously, you got to remember that a lot of these players, their only tournament experience is a semi-final, and some incredible nights along the way. And like I said, there has been a little bit of I was worried about how they cope without fans, but they've been absolutely outstanding. There's a lot of, I think, stuff going on at the moment. How the Wales fans can't go to the game, but the Danish fans can. There's some sort of restriction in place on them, but I'm sure Wales will really fancy their chances here, and they're in the right side. They're in the right half of the draw, and they're not in a bad little pocket either. The winners of this game play the Dutch or the Czech Republic, so there's very much an opportunity here again for a semi-final push for Wales or Denmark. I kind of gave Denmark a bit of an outside chance of going far in the competition at the start of the tournament, mainly on the fact that they're going to play their home games in Copenhagen. Obviously, a lot's happened with Eriksson. I wouldn't expect much of them now, but that first 10 minutes against Belgium, I think that Belgium game might teach them a lot, because they were so good in the first 10 minutes, but they were so out of control. You always felt like Belgium were going to pick them off. It's be interesting to see what way they shape up against Wales. But I think this could be an extra time one. 1-1 draw in normal time. It's hard to. I hope Wales get through. Because I think it'd be good for the tournament as well. And the same with Denmark. I think one of these teams really will fancy their chances of going deep into the competition and maybe doing what Denmark did in '92. I couldn't really tell at the moment. I think it'll be a draw.
Draw, and then who wins the penalties?
Kasper Schmeichel makes a few. I would say that the Wales goalkeeper's very good penalty saver, Danny Ward. He's
been very good as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been very good, and he's at Leicester, and he was instrumental in Huddersfield getting to the Prem a few years ago. He made a couple of great saves in a shootout against Sheffield Wednesday. So if it does go to a penalty shootout, you've got two really good goalkeepers there. But I'd be going with Wales in penalty shootout.
And lads, before we move on from this game, Ireland obviously know these two sides very well.
Unfortunately, yeah. Well, I mean, look, the Wales one was a great night. The McLean winner, where we were absolutely awful for the whole game. But I've never seen the horse and hound so loud. I suppose that's the only time I've ever heard any sort of atmosphere in the place. But it really came to light that night when McLean scored. Obviously, the Denmark one, I thought I'd repeat the trick and go back again. Didn't quite work as well this time. Obviously, Duffy putting this one up, but yeah, we really got annihilated that night. Like, it was just embarrassing. Like, Christian Eriksen was sensational that night, and we hadn't got a prayer really. It was one of them you just want to just swiftly move on, as I think I will be doing in a few weeks when England win. Just it's one of them, like Hussey were saying, to take a long walk post Cheltenham. I think, I'm starting to map out my route, let's just say.
I was just walking around aimlessly, and I actually watched those games in the Magic Carpet, which is only up the road to both those games.
Yeah.
So.
R.I.P. Yeah.
Yeah, R.I.P. We have a comment in here from Ryan Murphy. He's asking, is that a part Celtic jersey, Tim?
It is indeed, yeah. Trying to get the logo going. Yes, it is, and it's it was stolen actually out of a kit bag. Told Steve Maguire I'd bring it back from training, and unfortunately, my short, long but short career ended with Park that day. So poor Steve didn't get his jersey back, so I'll have to bring it down to one of the Bray games and give back to him, because I know he actually is in charge of the kid down in Bray. So we'll see if he'll take it back off me.
He will indeed. I'd say we'll move on to Italy versus Austria. We'll go to you, Mike, for this one. So this is the 8 o'clock game. This will be on BBC and RTE. Jesus, it's hard not to be impressed with Italy, isn't it?
Yeah, God, they've looked, I mean, just like a well-oiled machine, really. It's hard now. I suppose their group was not the most difficult, but I mean, they've looked very comfortable in all 3 games, even especially the Welsh game. Like, they were, they looked more, I know it was only 1-0, but they looked much better team for a lot of the game. I can only really see Italy winning this, although I don't see it being a very high scoring game. I think 2-0 Italy, I think, is what I'm going to go for.
Yeah, Tim, do you think it's going to be as comfortable as 2-0 like Austria?
Well, yeah, and I actually have 2-0 myself. Another kind of boring, safe prediction, but look, I have Italy in a sweep, and I'm hoping this will even give me half of my returns on what I've unfortunately given Paddy so far. So I think, I think Italy, like, they're very impressive, very solid at the back. I can't remember how many consecutive games they've won now, but it's incredible. And Mancini in his sharp suit, like, he's looking the part, and he's also kind of backing it up, which is great, because a lot of these kind of managers that come in, they're looking the part, etc., and it all kind of falls down. I think, Italy are very solid. Very impressed with Chiesa there. Chiesa, pronunciation is a little bit off, but no, he's been brilliant. Immobile, like, they've got a perfect balance. And I was on a side note, I was very disappointed to see Chiellini's goal being ruled out for handball there the other week. I thought he really deserved that. But I would say, like, for Austria, the only players I can name are David Alaba and Arnautovic. And whether that's me being kind of ignorant or Austria not having great players, or maybe a bit of both. But I couldn't see anything else but an Italy win to nil as well. So I'll go 2-0.
So yeah, the two lads are going 2-0. Like, you've obviously been impressed with Italy, Sean, like everyone else.
Yeah, and the one thing I would say is they rested a few of those players for the third game, which was against Wales, and they weren't really taxed in that second half after the sending off. So I think a lot of the signs are good for Italy. I mean, they're going to have a tough route to the final. They're not in that draw. I mean, if they were in England's draw, for example, or England's half of the group, they'd be favourites from there. But I mean, I think if they win this game, to play either Belgium or Portugal, and then you have to play France in the semi-final. So, I mean, it would be an incredible story to keep that unbeaten run going to nearly 30 games or over 30 games. But you'd have to fancy them against Austria, and I'd expect a polished performance from Italy. What you'd probably come to expect, a couple of goals to nil, I think is probably the bet.
Yeah, that looks pretty simple, lads. We'll move on to Netherlands versus Czech Republic, and we'll go to you then, Tim. Netherlands quietly going about their business, although a shout out to Donny Van de Beek there for obviously his injury. Like he just hasn't any luck at all.
Jesus, yeah, and it's actually another former United Dutch player that's kind of annoying me. Will be say with how good he's been performing. Memphis Depay, I was saying, got very excited around the summer 2015. Memphis was signing, did the classic, looked up all the YouTube top 10 goals from Memphis, went out, bought the jersey. It's now, along with the Angel Di Maria and Michael Owen 7 collection, I call it, in my room. Actually on eBay as well, but not getting many bids for them. I would say, the Netherlands very quietly going about their business. Memphis is looking great. Thought they'd miss Van Dijk a lot, but they seem to be kind of coming through quite well. Obviously, they have a lot of quality there to late at the back, and another ex-United fella, Daley Blind. I know he's not really been massive in the team, but he's very experienced. He's one of those players I always think he's a lot older than he is. Like, I have to keep Googling him and to find out he's only 30 or something. Like, he seems like he's been around forever. But on a side note, I was saying, like, I think the Netherlands will win this quite comfortably. I was going to go 1-0 and be boring. I'll go 2-0. I was saying, like, on the Czech Republic front, like the memories of the Pavel Nedveds, the kind of tall fella Collard that played up front back in the day, Milan Baras. They're a lot different than your current Součeks, Koufals, those type of players. Like, they're good, but they're not very good. And I could see this being a comfortable 2-0 Netherlands win for me.
Yeah, Mike, we'll go to you for this one then. Netherlands, like, it's hard. Like, they've quietly gone about their business. I don't know if they've got the capacity to win the tournament, but they definitely can go on a bit of a run here.
No, I mean, I definitely wouldn't say that. I don't think they would be able to win the tournament now out, but I definitely would fancy their chances in this game. I think they're playing well, and Wijnaldum is playing very well in midfield. Depay is hitting great form, and he's just on with Barcelona, I think, as well. So he's in, just giving me more confidence to kind of push on. In terms of the score, I think it'll be 3-1 Netherlands. 3-1 Netherlands.
3-1 Netherlands. Then Cian, are you kind of agreeing with the lads? Like, you've been quietly actually impressed enough with Czech Republic, or was that more against Croatia in that group? Or
it was a little bit of both. I thought it was probably one tournament too many for Croatia, and probably with how poor Scotland turned out to be, that it kind of just helped them get through it. But having seen Slavia Prague on a couple of occasions, I thought they were pretty good against Arsenal. They're a little bit on, obviously, with everything that happened in the Rangers game, and they got past Leicester as well in that round. So in the round before, so the core of that team is obviously playing for the national side, and they were pretty good. The other night against England, I actually think they could have scored. They very easily could have scored. It's one of those games that, like I said, anyone in this half will be buoyed. They'll really feel like they've got a great chance of going on a run or going on a Wales like we've seen, or Greece. And we have seen, obviously, historically, that there has been a couple of shocks in the Euros over the years and teams going far in the competition. And, both these sides, I think the Dutch, if they had Van Dijk, they'd just be that level above, that next tier up, if you like. At the moment, I still think they're there where maybe the Spains of the world and the Croatias and maybe Italy have just elevated themselves up to the next tier. But I'd like the Dutch. I have them in a sweepstake. I'm quietly confident they've got a nice draw, nice route to the final, potential route to the final if they can get there. And it'd be interesting to see what happens with Wijnaldum, because Wijnaldum has an unbelievable goal scoring record, and even had it with Liverpool. And at times in his Liverpool career, he's probably been asked to play a different role and maybe sit back a little bit more. But when he does get into the box, I mean, he's a potent finisher. I mean, I've seen a lot of people maybe liken him to a Frank Lampard, for obviously not a Frank's tally, but similar sort of goals and the collection of goals he scored. So I do think if they get him further forward, and the wing backs are really working for them. Your man Dumfries, the PSV guy. Yeah. So like I said, these will be buoyed by their draw in the group as well. So there's no doubt that they'll be thinking they can go on and do big things. And I kind of fancy the Dutch to go quite a long way in the competition.
Yeah, Tim, your thoughts on Wijnaldum there? He seems to score a lot more for Dutch. Seems better, playing better and playing differently.
Yeah, I suppose now this won't be a popular opinion with the Liverpool fans, but I suppose if Klopp stopped playing him like a donkey, you know, had him kind of doing the shuttle runs up and down the pitch with Henderson, who's somehow labelled world class for doing so. But look, I won't go into too much because as a United fan, I haven't. Yeah, well, I haven't a leg to stand on. Unfortunately, like this Roy Keane Teddy beside me here is you know, the kind of a distant memory now at this stage. But no, I think Wijnaldum, he is a top player. He's got everything, and going forward, I could see him really being a goal scoring threat. Yeah, he's definitely chipping in with the goals. Like, he's well suited to the system, which is amazing when you see players that like that you don't even know they have that side to them, and then like that a system falls in and they just suddenly, you know, start chipping in with the goals. Would I do him in a scorecast? Probably not. You know, with my look and everything, but yeah, look, you know, I'd have a look at it. Let's put it that way. Also been asked on the Bakers
comparisons
front.
to the great.
Yeah, I was just asked on the Bakers front there by a Tackling Sport listener, Dave Korsh, to mention the Pinecone Coffee that are located there. And I don't know if I'm getting the text right, but he will honour all bets that Paddy Power are providing. So that comes with your complimentary coffee. So look, don't quote me on it now up tomorrow in the trailer, but this we're breaking in.
We'll see you there in Pinecone. We'll see you there in Pinecone Coffee there. Yeah. Mike, comparisons to the Frank Lampard there from Cian, a bit premature, I guess.
I suppose, yeah, very premature. I mean, like Wijnaldum, like, look, is a good player, like, and he is very good going forward. And maybe if he had that opportunity at Liverpool, he'd be able to show that more. But I suppose even just in terms of Lampard, like, his longevity for doing it, like 20 goals a season for, I think it was 10 seasons straight or something like that. Just ridiculous numbers. So I suppose Wijnaldum has a fair few more to go before he comes into in terms of overall career conversation with Lampard.
Yeah, I can't hear someone talk about Frank Lampard without thinking of that Harry Redknapp video, and just the way Harry just goes on about how Frank's better than Matt Holland. He's going to get right to the very top.
That is an all-time great video.
It's an all-timer, like.
Yeah.
We'll move on, lads, to the big game. It's Saturday night. It's 8:00. Mike, we'll go to you for this game. It's Belgium versus Portugal. Like, you know, Belgium are arguably, like, to me, they're probably the second best team in the competition if you just look at the teams. And I really fancy Portugal to get something here. Do you know what I mean? And if they knock Belgium out of the last 16, Roberto Martinez has a lot of questions to answer.
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest, this game, I really can't fall on one side of the coin or the other. Belgium have played a lot better so far. Like, I think Portugal were okay against Hungary. I mean, 3-0 probably maybe flattened them a little bit. And then I thought against, like, obviously Germany was, like, they fell to pieces. Like, it really could have been 5 or 6 for Germany. So, like, that in mind, I'm going to go with Belgium winning 3-2, I think.
High scoring game. Tim, this is your big chance now to differentiate yourself.
Yes, yeah, and I will. You know, it's been a bit of cat and mouse here between myself and Mike. It's been very safe, very predictable, but I feel that's how the matches have been. Like, you know, so yeah, this is one where the head is saying Belgium will win, kind of 2-0, but I'm not going to do that. Like I say, I'm a United fan. Ronaldo, gonna have to, you know, like. Let's just call it out, because all the kind of Messi fans, look, I'm a big Messi fan myself, big Ronaldo fan, and he doesn't get nearly enough credit, in my opinion. Pinaldo, you know, only scores against the lower clubs, blah, blah, blah. We've heard it all. You know, Ronaldo he's the greatest, and that's why it's going to be 2-2, and Ronaldo to score the last winning penalty, take the 5th penalty as always, take the top off and run into the crowd. So that's how I see this one going.
So Ronaldo over Messi for you?
Look, I understand that I'm going to be getting a lot of WhatsApps. Messi's top 10 dribbles, Messi's goal for the 50th time against Villarreal when he was 19, the comparison with Maradona. I've seen it all. You know, I've also seen the Ronaldo screamers as well. And I just think, look, Messi is a gifted natural footballer. He is more naturally, he's a better footballer, 100%. With Ronaldo, and he's just his work ethic. When I saw that scrawny 17-year-old coming on for Nicky Butt against Bolton, I went out and I did a few step overs, and I thought, here's another Memphis Depay kind of stroke Bebe, stroke Nanny type of player. And what he's gone on to become, like, I know Eamon Dunphy gave him an awful time for the first couple of years. He was playing as a winger, he was criticised for his not tracking back. I never saw what we have now in front of us at the time. And I think he's an example for professionalism, hard work, dedication, discipline, and he's so clinical. Like, you write him off and write him off. He just keeps coming back. 36 years of age. Never looked better, in my opinion. And Euro's top goal scorer again, 12-1. I actually don't work for Paddy Power as a disclaimer here, but I was having a look at it again. Went for Kane, but Ronaldo he's on 5 goals here already. Yes, 3 are from the spot, and I've got the last minute winner against Hungary when it didn't count, and blah 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 and all this. But yeah, for me, it's this will be a Ronaldo top off, 5th penalty, and 2-2 for the game. Portugal and penalties. Right, come
Sean,
at me, Messi fans.
Yeah, Sean, are you a Messi fan? I think you just are marginally, Sean. But not to put words in your mouth.
No, I agree there. I think Messi is the most naturally gifted footballer I think we could ever see. I was with the lads last night watching the game somewhere, and I was kind of saying, isn't it mad how we're alive and in our childhoods to watch, two of the greatest footballers of all time, really. But I would say Messi. The other thing I'd say about Ronaldo is with his drive and determination and his athleticism, he could probably play any sport in the world. But I just think Messi's designed with a football at his foot. But yeah, no, I did see a lot of clips, and I know a lot of people were kind of saying never write Ronaldo off, and he's done well. He's obviously scoring a lot of penalties as well, which I think you have to take a little bit into account at the moment, especially with how some of those decisions have come to play. I thought the France penalty last night was one of the most bizarre. I think I actually feel like I say this most weeks on the podcast, but it's one of the most bizarre decisions in a big game, I think, for a long, long time. Especially with the ref who refereed the Champions League final and supposed to be one of the best ref in Europe.
And do you think, Sean, on that say Bruno Fernandes, as people like to remind me, since he's been off the penalty duties, like how big a part do penalties play? Because when you look at Ronaldo has 3 penalties this tournament. Say you Fernandes was on penalty duties. Is it kind of masking it a bit? I know I'm a United fan and whatever, but like if Fernandes gets those 3 penalties, are people going, geez, Fernandes having good tournaments? Like, isn't it like where do you kind of stand on penalties and like how deflecting they are from kind of stats and overall performances?
Well, look, yeah, I think that there's obviously a massive issue with that at the moment, with just the sheer volume of penalties we're seeing. Yeah. And we're seeing the top teams getting right across Europe and in different leagues and in the Champions League. But it's like everything in football, if someone like Benzema got the start of the game, I think last night, because he scored 2 goals. I think most people, certainly from what I saw of the game, and then I was watching in a pub and I wasn't really taking it all in. But I thought some of Paul Pogba's midfield passing was exceptional. And
I love always for France as well. Just always for France. Yeah.
And I definitely thought he was the most influential player on the pitch. He was probably my man of the match. So there definitely is that thing of once someone scores a goal, and I know Dan, we'd be watching a game and we'd be like, oh, he's just because they're giving it to him just because he scored, and everyone says scoring a goal is the hardest thing to do in football, but some of Paul Pogba's
play. It is from open play. Again, like I was having a look, like say Son for Tottenham, he got 17 Premier League goals this season. That's outstanding from open play. Whereas if you take Bruno Fernandes, actually scored more goals than him. But I think there has to be a little asterisk there beside him to say, I think, don't quote me on it, but 12 or 13 penalties. Like, imagine you added that to Son's tally, for example. He'd be player of the season. Like, there has to be a little asterisk there, in my opinion. which is going to contradict my Pinaldo, argument. But that's what I'd like to see changing slightly. Like, would be deflection away from penalty takers and scorers. So, might be a topic to discuss in the future.
There's no real solution, I guess, other than not to count them towards the top goal scorer goals, which would be very drastic. Although, take some balls to go up and take a penalty,
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah, you still have to step up and score. Like, you look at Mouatt there the other day. Like, I mean,
I think Mouatt could have 2 goals. The form he's in.
Yeah, he's absolutely God. He just has zero confidence. If he has any time to think about what he has to do, like, he's not scoring. Like,
I don't think he's scoring in our game in the Spalwell, Mike, on a Monday night. Like, I really don't.
No.
I know we've got good lads in goal, big Owen McKeever there, but I mean, I still don't think he's scoring it. Like, it's
he wouldn't be hates the.
Mark, Mark as well. Yeah. Sure, look, I can't talk the way I've been playing, but I just think, like, with VAR, say, the amount of penalties that are given now, like, it's nearly tripled what ordinarily. Without going back into John Giles mode, but like in the past, like a penalty would have been maybe once every couple of matches or whatever. Now it seems to be kind of 2 a match standard.
But even for Jamie Vardy, did he get 2 or 3? 2 out of the 3 of his goals, or were they all penalties away City this season?
Yeah.
But I do think, like, there has to. I think penalties are coming just too thick and fast. I mean, the notion that there was 3 penalties there the other night, and to be honest, I probably thought there was probably one of them was really justified. I mean, I don't know if anyone is able to comment now on what's a handball. I don't think anyone really knows. I mean, personally, I thought it was a little bit harsh, and you're just going to be seeing so many given. But I do think with someone like Bruno Fernandes and those guys, and maybe why Salah doesn't get questioned and he does score a lot of penalty goals, is you do see Salah in the big games, and maybe that Fernandes or whatever you want to say, it's the only thing catching him at the moment is we really haven't seen him take a big game by the scruff of the neck and deliver for United. And even in that Europa League final where it was maybe crying out for a little bit more, and you could argue, Pogba didn't play well or they didn't get the ball to him or whatever. But no, as this tournament goes on, I think it'd be interesting to count from now to the final how many penalties we do see and how many penalties decide in games, because it does feel like more and more these days. And maybe it's a legacy of having no fans in the game or in the stadium, and it's very easy to make a penalty decision. But having 3 in a game, I just thought was very excessive. And it's not like a referee. It's not like the referee could stay there and go, look, they gave me no choice. I mean, certainly in that game, like I said, they were all, one was a stonewaller and the rest were kind of marginal. So
and then you've got the Kingsley Coleman one at the end, which isn't given. So it's the consistency,
No, but it made no sense. Absolutely no sense.
Delighted Neil Costo has a comment in here because I wanted to try and get it in somehow. Daniel used to be a mighty fine penalty taker for the Gers and still am. Neil took one on Monday, let the keeper go to the right, and I aimed for the bottom right corner, but we finished nicely in the middle of the goal. Haven't been practicing for a while, but still went in. But Mike, sorry, you want to come in on the penalties there, just finally, in terms of, like, I know before we moved on there, like what Tim's saying is obviously very excessive to take away penalties from top goal scorers. Like, look at Harry Kane, like, it's a big part of his repertoire.
Massive,
and I know someone who once I get a penalty in a game, and Ga has a massive problem, not massive problem, sorry, but the free taking, how many points you get, 7 points, 6 for free, but those frees still need to be hit over, and those penalties still.
Well, I suppose that's why Dean Rock starts, I suppose. So
exactly.
Yeah, I think the free taking and scoring them is a lot tougher, to be honest, than the penalty. I mean, but I just, to go back to the penalties in football, I don't really see what the solution is, unless, like, I don't think just not counting penalty kick goals will be the solution. Other than that, I'm not really too sure how we move on from it. Like, as in, other than, like, to change it from what it is now. Like, I just don't. And I do think you still have to step up and score the penalty at the end of the day. So I just wouldn't agree with, I say, not counting penalties towards people's goal scoring. Sorry.
Absolutely. So lads, we'll move to the tiebreaker, which actually decided match day 2's
Saw that
competition between. So it's really important here, given that there's only 4 games and the lads are predicting on 12, and then we'll have 4 more, and 2 new lads to predict the next 4 last 16 games. I'll give it to you, Tim. You've watched a bit of the stuff. There's only 4 games here now. So what's the earliest goal going to be now? And I know you've probably done your own research on this. And have a bit of
I again gonna go with the hard on this one as well. 7 has been the recurring theme for the night. I didn't get my George Best rant in, but he would have been here. I could talk to the wee hours about the most gifted footballer, Messi. I was going to come in there, Sean, and show you a bit of Georgie Best, but I'm conscious about Giles mode and all that. I've mentioned Memphis, I've mentioned Di Maria, I've mentioned the Michael Owen 7. Finishing with Ronaldo, it's going to be 7th minute. That's my one.
Just a quick summary of the George Best taker.
How long have we got? I think Georgie, look, it's just a great shame that he was in a Northern Ireland team that couldn't give him what he wanted and kind of play at major tournaments like that and kind of get the legacy he wanted. Obviously, he had his own problems and everything outside of football, which I think today that doesn't happen. Like the modern pro goes to training, goes home, eats well, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke. They all get married at 22 and live happily ever after kind of mentality, which is great and it's very professional and rightly so with the money they're on. I think if George Best was around now, we wouldn't even be having this discussion. I know I'll be on my own by saying that, but I'm going to.
You're going to get a lot of WhatsApps, although I do see where you come from.
Yeah,
on the clips I've watched. Mike, what's the first goal going to be in these 4 games? And like I said, if there's no correct score and the Belgium-Portugal game goes to Portugal, this is going to come down to the tiebreak.
Okay, there he is. I suppose I'm going to go with Lukaku after 7 minutes. Sorry, 6 minutes. 6 minutes.
6 minutes, yeah. 2 minutes 7. So yeah, that's
okay.
pretty tense. Yeah, that's pretty tense.
Oh, that's great,
yeah. So the lads, while we have you, just in case one of you aren't back, which you won't be. So who's going to win the Euros?
I'm gonna have to say England.
Oh Jesus, Tim! So you are properly preparing for.
Oh yeah, no, don't worry. I have the
not joking.
Guy there ready to cancel, and I'll just be keeping it very, very low profile there. I have my little hideout ready and everything. So I will see you in September if and when it happens. In my opinion.
Mike, who's going to win the Euros?
I think France are going to do it. To be honest, I think Paul Pogba will be player.
Yeah, definitely a chance of that. And on his French form, Sean, who's going to win the Euros? Putting you on the spot as well.
How unpredictable the other side of the draw is. Whoever wins England against Germany.
Jeez, yeah. So it's coming home, isn't it? I might use that audio bet again, or just the song, Tim, to close out the show on the podcast, if that's all right. I hope you don't mind that right now as I'm talking. It's coming home. It's playing right now. You're laughing, but it is. It's playing right now on the podcast. Tim, Mike, thanks a million for coming on the show. Really enjoyed that.
No problem. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely, guys. Cheers. Thanks
to you, Sean, as always.
Cheers.
And it's at Tackling Sports social media. Do give us a follow on all the platforms and subscribe on our YouTube channel to keep up to date with the show. We'll be back on Sunday evening to preview the other 4 last 16 games, and the winner of the 4 predictions will play off against each other to predict the quarterfinals. It all makes sense as we go along. But yeah, now thanks to all the lads, and enjoy your weekend coming up and enjoy the Euros.